Hey everybody, this is Talkative Carl back again for another spoiler review for season 3 of The Clone Wars. And this one is called Secrets Revealed. And it's like a few moments where it's like that it really hits home when it's talking about like secrets revealed. Uh uh you know, well, at least a few parts here. It's like, one was like Padme and the senators and they trying to when they trying to broker peace between because you get these little Senate little meetings, and it's not unlike how like real life government people see issues with real life government is right now, where it's like you spend most of the time in Congress and Senate and debating over issues. It seems like it's not going anywhere. Y'all just talking, and it's like at the end of the day, if like you don't get like a majority consensus, it's like well, or like you guess one guy halting any kind of progress by not giving it like a complete pass, and it's like they're hitting like a brick wall at this point. So Padme had to go like undercover with Ahsoka, going over to Separatist territory to talk with a old friend of hers who is assisting with because she actually believes that Dooku, Count Dooku is like a good person, not realizing what kind of man he really is, because this propaganda he'd been spewing out for quite some time, and so like I mentioned before, like Dooku's like one of those kind of like Darth Siths that's good with like politics and not even with using like force powers to manipulate people's minds. No, he actually uses like political influence and knows how to maneuver things to get people on his side. You know, like arguably like a legit way. So it's like a lot of people are behind Dooku's plans on with this war, but a good handful of people believes it's like okay, this war is costing more, not even just money, just like all these lives and like the funding. People have to transfer from more than likely people that they are trying to protect, like with like school funds and all these little day-to-day things that people would need to get through day-to-day lives. You're diverting all that to fund this war, and it's like it's costing more than it's like benefiting us, and nobody's hearing her out, given the fact that that should be like a thing that's like that y'all should be concerned with. Like she put it the way she put it is like it's like, hey, even if we win this war, what will we have left at the end of it? And so she goes to this friend, and Ahsoka has this little bias because she's been fighting this war against the Separatists, and she has this point of view that they're all going to be bad guys, but they're just as she goes by seeing that they're just people too, and either they're misled or they are evil, or they're just like they're just like trying to get to their lives and they don't want to be involved in this war anyway, and they're hurting on their side as much as the Republic is hurting. And so she meets with like Padme's friend. I think she's another senator, and she convinced her to talk with some of the separatists in their council to convince like the broker peace. And of course, there's certain people behind the lines beyond like Dooku and Sidious who feel like they especially warmongers pretty much it's like we need to divert funds to put more money in our pockets, and we need more clone troopers, and they need to pay us in order to get more clone troopers out there, or they need more weapons, It's like, this greed in this too, beyond like, who cares about who wins one way or the other. As long as they keep this, war going, that means more money for them. And of course, they're not behind this at all. This whole peace talks, which is really effed up. Real life and fictional is really effed up. Of course, that doesn't pen well. Of course, thanks to Sidious / Palpatine's like, convincing Dooku, okay, we cannot, this is going to be, ruin our plans. We cannot allow this to like, halt my plans. So Dooku arranges this fake terrorist attack, using droids to infiltrate Coruscant, cause these bombings, and that ruins the whole peace talks thing. And then, much to Padme's horror, her friend that she spoke to, because like she ended up giving her name to Palpatine, she ended up getting assassinated. So all that went down the toilet. Then you got a moment I think is my favorite arc in this entire season, at least so far in the series, to be fair, is where like Obi-Wan, Ahsoka, and Anakin get this kind of distress signal to this mysterious planet where there's like only 3 inhabitants. They call the father, the son, and the daughter, who is on this planet that's like very abundance of, like the force is very strong on this planet. It's kind of heightened, a lot of force abilities if they really tap into it. And you get like a nice little cameo from Liam Neeson as Qui-Gon Jinn, where he's, speaking with like, Obi-Wan, and then he's speaking with Anakin. It's like, warning them about like, it's strong in the force. You gotta be mindful. Like I really wish I wrote down what he's exactly said, but it's pretty much like, trying to make sure they maintain the path, and there's gonna be a chance, of them being tested, down along the way, and they need to stay vigilant. But this takes place after like the Attack of the Clones movie. I don't know why, because from what everybody believes, I think Qui-Gon is the first person who actually been able to utilize the force in a way to make himself a force ghost, and that ended up teaching Yoda and Qui-Gon to do so too, in order for them to be able to do that, and Jedi's in the foreseeable future be able to do that. And it's like, I don't know why Qui-Gon did not tell Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan. It's like, you need to, there was a situation with Anakin where he killed a lot of Tusken Raiders after they kidnapped his mother. You need to pay attention, or at the very least, give him some better advice. With Obi-Wan's like, stop treating him like a little kid, and he needs a father, not a brother sometimes, and you need to like listen to what he has to say, kind of situation, and treat him like an equal, and that kind of thing. Because like by the end of all this, Obi-Wan's probably biggest regret is just like he it's kind of like he doesn't treat him especially when he was in his adolescent phase up until his early adulthood, he didn't treat him like the boy needed a father, but he treated him more like an annoying big brother, and that became like a detriment. And of course, like got this the father who is like an old wizard looking kind of like a looking like an old wizard, and got a son who taps more into the dark side of the force, while the daughter taps more so in the light side of the force. And it's like, and he is there to utilize like a harmony, which I get, and because you don't want, because like even if like because the boy kind of veered too far into the dark side, and you did not keep that in mind. If the boy leaned into that one side, you should be a little bit more pay attention to that to make sure it's like, okay, this is the line, don't cross it. It's like, there's like positive chaos kind of situation. It's like there's nothing wrong with a little bit of chaos in the world. It keeps things interesting, and it's kind of balance out like this strict order of things. It's kind of like you don't want them, because that's the thing where you got, but the light side is like the daughter got to make sure, okay, this is your line. Do not allow yourself to, like, because that's the problem with it, like the old ways of the Jedi. It was like you became stagnant. Don't become stagnant. Be fluid. Allow some fluidity. And like establish some imagination and some judgment. It's like not everything it needs to be strictly by the book kind of thing. But of course, the son kind of veered off too far into the dark side, and it's a fun little moment where you get to see like Ahsoka, he tricks Ahsoka into the dark side, and you see a moment where Ahsoka, a dark Ahsoka kind of situation, until she eventually gets snapped out of it. But you see, like, because I've seen like back in the day clips, I never knew the context of it was, but the son bewitched, or at least show the future of Anakin's life, and he gets he sees the vision of what he'll ultimately become. You hear the Vader music, and you see this little gaseous state like swirl around with like images of like what Palpatine's gonna do. You see images of what he's gonna do with those younglings, and like it's like all this like audio tracks of what you'll hear from Revenge of the Sith in the future, and you see the gaseous states form into the Vader helmet, and you hear that, and it's like, and he trying to avoid going to the dark side and doing those terrible things he see himself gonna do. He ends up falling to the dark side regardless, but for a different reason. And it's like he never tells Obi-Wan before he, the father erases his memory of that event. He didn't bother to shed some light to Obi-Wan. Of course, he can't do that because he'll ruin the future films down the line the way it's supposed to go. But it's like, Qui-Gon could have said something, like at least hinted at pay a little bit more attention to Anakin. Like, he is the chosen one. And like they all said, he is the chosen one. But the time he's supposed to bring balance to the Force, it's not going to be for a very, very long time. And it's not until his son actually like helps him along with that. There's going to be a lot of death between now and then before that balance is achieved. And it's terrible how that's going to go down. But I like that. And let's see, once again, I'm tapping to that power, trying to, because like, the daughter and the son threatening Ahsoka and Obi-Wan. And, it's like you got to choose between, I don't know why it need to be, because he's trying to test Anakin or something like that. Because if you're the chosen one, you got to test you to see, what would you do if you had a choice between your master or your apprentice. And of course, thanks to Obi-Wan, coaching, it's like, we're on a planet that's filled with the Force. Tap into that. And it's like, this raw feat of strength from Anakin. It's like, you know, physically, but also mind controlling, kind of using both sides of the force, like the not physically, but it's like mentally and like telecon, telekinetically, forcing the son and the daughter into releasing his friends and forcing them to kneel. It's like, let them go. And it's like, it's like he is the chosen one. This overall wellspring of power this one guy has is just beyond anything they've seen. But he's also so easily swayed to the dark side because he just really has not like truly mastered his abilities. It's like with great power comes great responsibility kind of situation, and like that's the thing he hasn't really grown to like learn, because especially considering that they're in wartime moments now, it's like they're easily losing their way little by little. There's a situation with like you get a moments with like the Jabba the Hutt and like his like Hutt clan. It's like they really leaning into the whole mafia thing, because there's a couple of Hutts that look like straight up like they could easily be like an alien version of Goodfellas, and it's like this one slick back kind of hair, like De Niro kind of hairstyle in Goodfellas. It's like very slick back and everything. Like, oh my god, they going really hard into the Godfather stuff, mafioso thing. And of course, there's secrets revealed about like this little document that what's this Hutt guy, very matter of fact, now I'm thinking about it, he is like Joe Pesci in Goodfellas in a way, and he's going out like Joe Pesci in that film, where it's like this little ugly looking girlfriend of his, and it's like gross when it's like that, this, you see it in like one of the Star Wars films, where that green alien with that long mouth, and it's like, oh god. And then when they kissing each other's, ugh. But she ends up double crossing them and like shoots him dead and delivers those secret documents to Jabba the Hutt. And that part is just like messed up but funny. Zero, that was the Hutt's name, Zero the Hutt. And he's working with like Obi-Wan's working with like Quinlan Voss, who I thought sounded like, because I had to look, because it wasn't the actor, but I thought it sounded like the actor, because I thought is that Jason Ackles? Because it sounded like Jason Ackles, but no, that's not Jason Ackles. But I think Quinlan Voss in the end turns out to end up working with Dooku in a certain situation in one of the old Jedi comics. What is it? Trying to see. Yeah, Al Rodrigo. That's his name. Because it swear that sounded like Jason Ankles for a second. Let me see some. Yeah, it was in the novels. He teams up and falls in love with Ventress in an attempt to assassinate Dooku in that novel, but ends up turning to the dark side. But he's redeemed by Ventress's help. It might be like kind of spoiler territory. Yeah, it looks like he's one of the few survivors of Order 66. So yeah, it's always like it's only like a handful, maybe like at best somewhere between 10 to a dozen Jedis that actually survive Order 66 at best, and maybe like a few of those actually end up getting killed later because they get tracked down. But yeah, it's like it's only like at least a dozen at best people who survive Order 66. But I like the look of that of Voss. He got that kind of like Native American motif with being like an expert tracker and everything like that. But he's kind of like a very unorthodox way of handling things to the point where like Obi-Wan is like a little uncomfortable working with him because he's so like very like I said, unorthodox. He's like he handled things his own way, and he's like, he's kind of like a wild card kind of situation, which kind of would make sense if he survived Order 66 and that kind of thing, because usually you see him by himself. Oh, and then you got Ventress, her arc, and this is like probably the longest one because it kind of feeds into because Palpatine Sidious is like, yo, she's going too strong with the Force, and I do not want you to think, I don't want to think that you're trying to prepare her to usurp me. So I want you to kill her now. Otherwise, I will kill you. So Dooku decides to like just, cut her loose and leave her to die in the next mission she was on, and she escapes capture from Obi-Wan and Anakin, and goes back to Dathomir, her home world, and like the Queen of the Night Sisters goes to for her help, and to hey, I want to kill Dooku. I want my revenge. He left me to die. And you see like some flashbacks into Ventress's upbringing because she had like at least a couple of Jedi Masters until she eventually went to Dooku, who enabled her dark side, especially after she had to kill like one of the, like a pirate or something who ended up got a lucky shot off and killed her second master, and Dooku kind of like nurtured that hatred. And then she became jaded after he just completely turned her loose. So she and a couple of Night Sisters went out to try to assassinate him. It failed. Then she decided, okay, I need because the same planet as Darth Maul is from, they go to because like the women on this planet was a dominant species, and they practice all these kind of magics and sorcery, and the men like are in this kind of like huts or on a different side of the planet when they kind of like more the brutish population, and that's where they get like Darth Maul from. They end up working with Palpatine up to the point of the Phantom Menace. So they go and find this, same brother clan, and you end up getting this new guy that they let her be called Savage Opress, which is like a cool name, Savage Opress, and pretty much like a sleeper agent for the Night Sisters and Ventress to like build him up. He was the best of the best. After like all these little trials, he was the best of the best. The Night Sisters manipulate him to turn into this big hulking. He's like the super shredder. Like as soon as I saw it, I was like, dude, he's the fucking super shredder. And they end up kidnapping his brother that he throughout the entire trials was trying to protect him, brought him to the feet, test his like willpower, and like force him to kill his own brother, which he does, and he completely lost himself. And then he this is where the whole midichlorian things is all BS, because you know, are there like a little bit more? I mean, you just maybe like, I say it's BS, but I'm thinking to myself, maybe the Dathomirians are like the Yoda, same way with like the Yoda species, where they're more attuned to the Force than any other species. Uh, and so maybe that's why when you see Dooku training him, he's be able to at least start to lift things with his mind. And it's like, okay, I'm thinking like, at first I'm thinking like, okay, how he's just able to, because not everybody's more akin to the Force, even though they flow through everybody, but some more so than others are more adept at like honing it. And that's what I'm thinking like, okay, maybe his species just like Yoda species is just easily more, able to tap into it. But he's like a brute force of a juggernaut. And because of the, him being just abused to all hell by Ventress and Dooku, he ended up turning against both of them. And it goes back to somehow he beats Ventress back to Dathomir, and the Queen Mother says like, you need to find your brother Darth Maul, and this amulet will help you track him down. So I'm pretty sure in the next season we'll be able to see him meet up with Darth Maul and see how that turns out. But there's a nice little reveal, her little crystal ball, like find Maul. You need to find Maul. But yeah, you see like towards the end, like, which is probably my least favorite arc in the entire series, because I didn't totally hate like the whole Senate thing with like, trying to broker peace, because that's like a believable thing. You expect something like that to happen at some point, dealing with like wartime kind of situation. This one we see Ahsoka being like her and a couple of the younglings being hunted for sport, but you get to meet a young Chewbacca in this, and I was like, okay, that's pretty dope. But yeah, I mean, like I think like the whole Anakin seeing his future and meeting like the father and his children, I think that was like the more interesting arc out of the entire season, to be fair. But yeah, it's like secrets revealed. It's like a handful of secrets about like you know Padme knowing a separatist and hoping that can help uh uh end this war finally. Oh, and then also, I don't know how realistic this is in real life, but it's like I'm pretty sure that was a thing back in like WWE 1 all the way up to like the Cold War and maybe in Vietnam, where it's like you got all these little spies and people trying to take out like political figures, and you have like Palpatine ordering these hitmen to like either hurt or kill high Republic figures to try to make sure they get swayed into not siding with Padme and trying to like end this war earlier than in his eyes than necessary. Thought that was pretty interesting, but any secrets revealed with like Anakin and his possible future, but that end up getting erased. Don't know how I totally feel about that. Could have easily done without it, but I guess at the time when it was aired years ago, I thought this, I'm pretty sure it would have been hyped to a lot of people. And then with the Huts and like the secrets with with Zero's documents and and there's also like the secrets reveal about like, okay, this little information about like what was it with like like if this could be easily, if these documents are gained by either one of the enemies, that could be a benefit or a detriment to the separatists and Jedi. What was it? What arc was that? Oh yeah, the Citadel, when they were trying to break into when you meet young Tarkin at this point, you break into this prison planet and trying to free Master Even Pael, who's like this Russian kind of alien. And of course, Tarkin has one half of this information, while Even has this other half, which is kind of smart, especially when you're dealing with all these like wartime and spy espionage kind of situation. That's kind of secrets, and then like of course you get like a little moment with like Tarkin and Anakin, and it's like these little, because I think like in like the original series, I think Tarkin and Anakin from New Hope, they had like a decent relationship, because unlike other people like Vader force chokes and don't tolerate at all, I think like he's more akin to listen to Tarkin, because they have like a fair amount of like things they agree on, because Tarkin wants the Jedi to go a little bit farther and not like rely or fall back on this little peacekeeper thingy, and Anakin tends to agree, and it's like, oh boy. But yeah, that arc was pretty dope. You get like this little sadistic warden that ends up easily getting taken out, towards the end of the arc, because he is like he's no threat ultimately. But I like this line between him and Dooku, because it's like, because Dooku tells him right at the tail end of the arc, it's like, the do what you need to do, but keep in mind the only reason you're still alive because you're honest with me, and it's like your honesty is the only reason you're alive right now. and it's like, as harsh as that is, it's like I recall like a certain situation with Kylo Ren in like Force Awakens, where he's like treating his like subordinates and it's like losing his temper. And it's like, no one wants to be honest with you if you're going to react this way. And it's like, goes back to what I said about Dooku, is like he handled things more politically than any other Darth subordinate of Sidious, where it's like, you come to me, you're straight up with me, I won't kill you as long as you can still possibly make things right. But if you outlive that moment, I will cut you down. I'm not going to hesitate. But it's like, wow, because if any other, like if it was Maul or Vader or Kylo Ren, if it was, or even Grievous, they wouldn't hesitate to like just like abuse or just kill them outright and go to the next person, because they don't suffer no fools. But I think that arc was pretty dope, and it's nice to see Tarkin, like they say young Tarkin, but he still got like a fair bit of gray hair, because just like Tarkin just like is like perpetually old to me. But anyway, that is my review for season 3 so far. I think like, yeah, the first season was decent, but it's like, each preceding season, it gets a little bit better by the next. And there's certain arcs that seem kind of lame here and there to me, but it's like I haven't gone to like a season that overall I thought was boring. But it's still got at least 4 more seasons to go. So I will see you guys next week for season 4 spoiler review, along with Sonic the Hedgehog 2, a spoiler review next weekend. So take care. I'll see you guys soon.